I went into the F1 movie with high hopes, and somehow it still managed to blow me away. A movie set on showing the world of Formula 1 that only the best theater experience can give us. In this video, I'm going to break down how it delivered that pure cinema experience, stands as one of the year's best films so far, and might just help rejuvenate the entire sports genre as a whole. A statement I certainly didn't think I'd be saying, and yet here we are. Movies like the F1 movie don't work unless you have a great cast of actors to carry it. Sports movies in general, if you look at many past examples, are really as good as they are because the actors in them are able to sell the kinds of characters they play so well. They understand the opportunity that's in front of them to be able to either tell a true story, or in the case of F1, a story that is not necessarily true but has themes and character motivations that you can get attached to and get emotional from. Here in F1, you have four major standouts. Brad Pitt as the lead Sonny Hayes, a veteran driver looking for opportunities from all over to race in anything he can find himself in. Javier Bardem as Ruben, his longtime friend from when they started racing to now owning his own Formula 1 team, asking Sonny to join his own as a replacement. Damson Idris as Joshua Pierce, the new up-and-coming rookie trying to make a name for himself. And finally, Kerry Condon as Kate, one of the head members of Ruben's team. All four are played expertly by each actor and show some of the best on-screen chemistry and charisma from any characters you'll see on screen all year. Even the side cast of characters do their job so well and have their moments. I love when any character can have a good moment and you look at them as maybe the most underrated cast member. Every scene just flows so well. When any combination of the main four characters are on screen talking to each other, or in the case of Brad Pitt and Damson Idris, when they are racing on the tracks. I don't know what else needs to be said about Brad that hasn't. The dude is one of the best actors of his generation. He eats up every scene he's in, and you can't take your eyes off the screen. And if you don't mind me saying, I want to make this statement loud and clear. Javier Bardem, like Brad, is a movie star. He might be my favorite character and actor in the whole movie. Of course, everyone will be talking about Brad, but in my eyes, Javier is just so good in this that I couldn't help but love his character more than anyone else in the movie. He plays a kind of character that you might normally think is the kind of character that would be seen as a villain or a bad guy in these kinds of movies, but F1 stays away from the cliche and tropes that kind of character he plays could display. And funny enough, there is another character in the movie who does exactly what you think Javier's character is going to do, and for me, that character is one of the more weaker aspects of the film because it feels like it did kind of come out of nowhere with no build-up, and you could see it coming from a mile away, but I digress. Brad Pitt, Condon, and Damson spend the most time on screen together, and I really loved their scenes as they all tried to establish their own relationships on and off the track. Many of their conversations and scenes together do kind of feel a bit formulaic by sports movie standards, but when you have great actors executing the dialogue and any other actions they display on screen, it's just really fun to watch. The other really fun thing to watch on screen was Joseph Kosinski's directing once again after seeing his awesome work on screen with Top Gun Maverick. I'm not one of the people out there who thinks that Top Gun Maverick is perfect or a masterpiece. It's still an awesome movie, don't get me wrong, but I think the thing that is the best that I take away from it is that Joseph Kosinski has an eye for the cinematic appeal of what it means to be in love with movies. He might be one of the better filmmakers out there right now who understands the right ways to make movies. He understands what it means to make sure everything is in camera, what it means to do something as practical and in the flesh as much as possible before you can't, and he knows that certain movies call for making it more of a blockbuster than not with how it is filmed. When you look at both F1 and Top Gun Maverick, there is really no other way to make those movies other than to make them feel like blockbusters, or at least give off the potential that they could be a blockbuster. So that means filming them the way they filmed, and then be a little bit more formulaic with the stories and characters to make people have a more relatable feeling to stuff that they've seen many times before. Some people will certainly see that as a bad thing because they don't want generic anymore. They want something unique and interesting, but if generic can be done right, I don't see it as a problem as much. And just so it's made clear, Joseph did not write the screenplay of his past two movies with Top Gun and F1. He's only been involved with making the story. There is a big difference. Writing a screenplay means that you are writing dialogue, as an example, whereas when you do the story, you are just coming up with the concept of it, and so on. If you look up who the actual screenwriter is for the movie, his name is Ehren Kruger. He wrote this and he wrote Top Gun Maverick as well, and you'll also find that he has written 3 Michael Bay Transformers movies as well, as a fun fact, 2 of which are some of the worst in that series of Transformers movies. Just goes to show that anything can happen if you somehow can do something as bad as those and yet go on to make something as good as F1 and Top Gun Maverick. But to get back to my point, Joseph Kosinski is a director we all need to be talking seriously about way more. Even before F1 and Top Gun, he did stuff like Oblivion with Tom Cruise, Tron Legacy, and something as cool as the original Mad World trailer for Gears of War. Yep, he did that. Again, another fun fact for you. As of right now, the only thing that he's currently slated to direct in the future is a new version of Miami Vice. But other than that, anything else he makes, I will be there day one to see it. I just mentioned it several times, but the filmmaking on display here is perfection. If there is any up-and-coming filmmaker who is inspired by this job and wants to be a part of it in the future, watch this movie to understand how you are meant to film. Of course, every director out there has their own style of filmmaking, but when you look at the general basics of how movies are made in the behind the scenes of it all, you have to see how F1 does it to understand the fundamentals. This movie takes some of the more Hollywood filmmaking cliches we've seen enough of in recent years and throws it out the window. Lots of CGI that is rushed and not finished, action scenes that are cut way too fast in the editing room, making it look all jumbled and look like a hot mess. These are things that the movie took very seriously, and all the credit in the world should go to everyone who worked on this production, even to the main producer, Jerry Bruckheimer. This dude is a Hollywood legend as far as producing goes. You've probably seen his name on a lot of movies and in the credits or through his production company that does show up in the opening credits. He took the initiative, along with Joseph Kosinski and the rest of the filmmaking crew, to make sure that the races themselves were all filmed realistically in actual Formula 1 races. There is a behind-the-scenes video online, if you go look it up, where the actors and filmmakers met with the actual Formula 1 drivers and crews and told them what was expected. Basically, they would race on the track for about a lap or so, and then they would leave and let the race go and do its normal thing, like how you would normally see it on television. And if you've watched the movie now, you will notice that they seemingly did this at just about every track that was raced on during the season, and that is some real dedication and lucky timing to make sure that the production shoots go smoothly without any issues. On a technical level, it's probably the best film of the year so far. It shines with the elements of sound, cinematography, and then Hans Zimmer's underrated score. The man can really do no wrong with his music, and I could feel what he brought with his music this time around. So now, with my thoughts and analysis of the movie out of the way, there only remains one question for me to ask. Is this movie a hopeful comeback for the sports movie genre, along with even more racing movies in particular? The reason I ask this question is because the sports genre has been very lacking in recent memory, at least within the last decade or so. That's not to say that there aren't sports movies being made. I'm only saying that there has been a very limited amount of sports movies getting made. Every now and then, you'll get 1 or 2 movies that come out, and they either come out to success or don't, and they go straight to streaming. I think other than the fact that Formula 1 in real life is just one of the most popular things in sports media these days, I think the story and themes of the F1 movie really do resonate with many people based on their own personal real-life experiences playing sports, but even when you just look back at other sports movies that have come before, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people back in the day were attached to this genre, and it was able to produce some really good movies. It doesn't matter if it's sports movies that focus on racing or if they focus on other sports. And can I also just say, one of the things that I love about movies and television is that if, for example, they focus on something that you don't know anything about or don't have a passion for, like me, for example, with Formula 1, I've only ever watched Formula 1 a couple times when I was a kid, but since then, I've never really cared for the sport, but now I kind of do want to watch it because this movie made me more interested in it. One of my favorite other rewatchable movies is actually Rush with Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Bruhl. In the last few years, I watched the Gran Turismo movie, which has some similarities to Formula 1, and then just the other day, I watched Days of Thunder for the first time, which also has a lot of similarities to the F1 movie. And these sports movies don't have to focus on true stories like how F1 doesn't. They can be their own made-up thing that has a core focus to it with some good messages and themes. I love that the theme of the F1 movie is not more so centered around the young prodigy, even though that is a major factor within the story. It's more so about Brad Pitt as the aging veteran. You have that great dichotomy between both him and Joshua Pierce, given their ages and talents, but what I love about it is that it made the focus more on the main character because he is the aging veteran looking for that win that he never got. It's a good way to tell a story about the theme of never giving up. Even for Sonny Hayes at his old age, what he was searching for could still be attainable, and he never gave up. And once he accomplished that dream, he just kept on going and moved on to the next. All of this stuff is just more of a reason for someone like me to look at this movie as one of the year's best, because I think everything was able to come together in a great way to give us an experience that was truly cinematic and worth seeing on the biggest screen in theaters. And there you have it. That is my commentary and analysis of the new F1 movie. What do you all think of my commentary, and what was your favorite aspect from the movie? Leave your comments down below. Thank you all for stopping by my channel. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe if you are new here, and turn on that notification bell. I'm trying to build a community on here, and your support would be appreciated. We just hit 10,000 subscribers recently on the channel, and I hope that number continues to grow. That's a wrap, folks. I hope everyone here has a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you all soon for the next video.